So we're going to jump again today into a Transformer Slag podcast Patreon listener question. Once again, if you want to be part of the Transformer Slag podcast Patreon and help support the podcast, let us know we're doing a half-decent job here in the Transformer world, keeping you educated and informed about all that's going on in our hobby. I hope you enjoy what we do here, giving you the entertainment Monday to Friday and a hopefully fun Saturday night live stream. If you want to join, patreon.com/Protoman, or check the pinned comment or the description below of this segment. What does it get? You get your name in the end credit scroll at the end of every segment moving forward. Access to our exclusive Discord where we hang out and talk the deep nitty-gritty about the news. We break the news. We discuss everything, all kinds of inside baseball chat. Of course, we have all kinds of cool extra benefits of being part of the Discord. We have our deals section where you save money on your hobby so you don't have to pay full price for Transformers. We have our trading section. We have so much stuff, downloads, lore, all kinds of crazy things. I try to make the Discord a little special than just your typical run-of-the-mill yelling Discord of Transformers. And of course, depending on what tier, you might get a little something in the mail. It gives you access to our giveaways that we've been doing very frequently during the live streams the past couple of weeks. And of course, depending on what tier 2, you might get access to Ask the Patreon Listener Question. We have a Patreon Listener Question today from longtime patron and close friend of the podcast, Fair Lady Z. This is one that's something that I normally would not do. I don't like doing top 10s or top 5s unless it's like, of course, me and Jaws we do our top 5 Transformers end of the year thing, but that's more of a fan vote, if anything. But here we have a top 10 one. I'm going to read Fair Lady Z's question here. Hey, Proto Man, it's been 20 years of TFCon recently, has come and gone, and it's made me wax with nostalgic. I remember the first time we met at my very first TFCon, and we both realized we both had our favorite character that was exactly the same, Hot Rod Rodimus Prime. It's a special thing to have a favorite character that lasts with you throughout the decades, and when you meet another fan who shares that character and same passion, it makes me very happy. So I wanted to use my listener question to give you a chance to talk about your favorite character. What are your top 10 favorite definitive fictional moments of Transformers with Hot Rod Rodimus Prime? Could be the 86 movie, cartoons, comics, anything that you want. The old ones from Generation 1 remind me why you love him in the first place, and any newer ones that do justice to his legacy, I'd like to know too. Thank you, Fair Lady Z, a.k.a. Anastasia, who was the first ever official voice of Firestar, a.k.a. Flare Up from Animated. She voiced her at BotCon 2008 and was the inspiration for her voice later on in the animated TV series. A little fun fact there. I remember that day quite vividly, meeting her for the first time in TFCon. I believe it was TFCon 2009. Outside the dealer room, we were hanging out there, and I was talking her ear off about the greatness that is Hot Rod Rodimus Prime, and boring the hell out of poor Shan, who was stuck hanging out with me from TFCon staff that weekend. Oh, poor Shan, having to listen to my prattling. I'm going to try to find that photo. He looked so bored. We always wear some kind of matching clothing those first couple of years. Like, me and her would always have the same, like, Rodimus Hot Rod t-shirt from Hot Topic or the Matrix of Leadership necklace from Stylin'. Good times. So let's get into that. So what I'm going to do is, because again, I don't really like doing top 10s, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a top 10, but each one of those top 10 are going to be from a different continuity or a different version or a different form of media of Hot Rod. That way we don't just pile on, like the 86 movie alone has tons of amazing Hot Rod moments. So I'm going to start with the first one, Transformers the movie, 1986, the animation. And I'm going to say right away there, like, that's what made me fall in love with Hot Rod. And it made me fall in love with Transformers to begin with. I will never forget that first time he transforms. If you're going to ride Dano, ride in style, and that fluid animation into the car mode and then zooming off, like, that blew my mind as a kid. It just was like, oh my God, because up to that point in the movie, like, you see transformations, but they're kind of not as dynamic. Like, Ironhide is technically like the first transformation, and like he's hot. It's like almost obstructed when he first drives by, and you don't really see it. And then you see Megatron's transformation, and that's like, okay, he turns into a gun. Soundwave turns into a cassette. Like you don't really see it that much in the beginning of the movie, and then you see Hot Rods, and it's just like boom, bam, and it's just like, oh my god, that's so cool. And again, cars are always awesome. I ended up becoming a car mechanic. Something was clearly baked in there from day one with a hot rodded vehicle. So that first transformation will always stay with me. It's just, if you're going to ride Dano, ride in style. Maybe, having the kid name be Daniel, and that's my real name. I don't know. Just it just hit all the right buttons. It really did. Going next, let's do some Season 3 G1 cartoon as opposed to 86 movie. Bird and Hardest to Bear, Season 3 episode, a.k.a. Transformers 2010 in Japan. That scene there with Season 3, Rodimus Prime, he didn't get a ton of episodes to really, flesh himself out too much. So that was one of those episodes, and I really loved it. And Bernhard's the Bear, a lot of people, they always say, like, Call of the Primitives is, like, the best animated Season 3 episode, maybe even the best animated G1 episode. And it still is, I agree. But Bernhard's the Bear had some really good moments. Like, the animation was really well done in those episodes, and it really makes me wonder, like those key episodes that were really related to some form of Transformers character development always seem to have those really good episodes. Let's go into number 3 here. Let's go into a Marvel comic, more specifically a Marvel comic that kind of also is a large foundation of what the UK books were based on, which is in the UK books there was a whole story of Rodimus Prime as leader, which was kind of absent from the USA Marvel books. And nothing more starts that than the adaptation of Transformers the movie, the 1986 version, through the Marvel comics. Now people are saying, well, isn't that the same as the 86 movie? There was quite a few differences. Obviously, a lot of the beats are the same, but this one is kind of the one that's used for that continuity and all the little differences there. One of the most important being that Hot Rod didn't interfere with the battle against Megatron, and as a result, Prime died either way. It's almost like a Marvel what if, but back in 1986, of what if Hot Rod didn't interfere. Go back and read that book. It's really good. But the scene that I love the most is just, how dramatic they did the opening of the Matrix of Leadership. Because it was, 86 movie, it's, Now Light Our Darkest Hour. Love that scene. Might come up again in this list. But the way that it was done in the comic book version, there was a little more dialogue to it. And it was like, this is my destiny. This is the act I was born to perform. In the name of the Autobots and our lost world Cybertron. In the name of the slain Optimus Prime, now light our darkest hour. And then he opens the Matrix. Like, that was really like cool stuff. That true chosen one kind of writing and emphasis. And I love that kind of stuff that the Marvel books had. I mean, there's tons of it. To pick one, again, especially with the UK books and, Cup's story and all of those, and even some of the G2 stuff, it's hard to pick one. So I just kind of wanted to go with like one of the best ones with the Marvel stuff. Marvel specifically, I want to emphasize that because there's other comic stuff, that being the next one here. The manga, Transformers 2010 manga, aka Season 3's manga in Japan. There was this great small little side story called The Battle of the Convoy Cup, The Strongest Transformer. It's a rare manga story. Never been translated. Viz, for some reason, didn't manage to get the rights to use that story for their compilation. And it's a little dream match story of who is the strongest Transformer based in that Season 3 bubble. And you have Rodimus Convoy, you have Ultra Magnus, you have Cup, you have Blur, you have Springer, you have Wreck-Gar, Wheelie, Galvatron, Cyclonus, Scourge, Soundwave, Octane, and the Ghost of Starscream and Megatron. And it's like, well, but Galvatron's there. How is Megatron there? Well, it's Japan. It's Japan during Season 3 where Galvatron and Megatron's connection was still dubious. They didn't really have that 100%. And it's a dream match. So sure, why not? If now being hindsight, you could just say, oh, it's a dream match. And the winner gets this cool Convoy Cup. And of course, Hot Rod, aka Rodimus Prime, kicks some major butt. And in the final battle, beats up both Galvatron and Megatron and wins the Convoy Cup because he's the best. Better than all the rest. nice little book. If you could find it online, there's some scans somewhere, I believe. You could enjoy it. Enjoy it. I know someone scanned it. I forget who did. I think it was TF Raw. I'm not too sure. Then you have Headmasters. Let's go with another series, Transformers Headmasters, the sequel to Season 3 in Japan. And my favorite scene from that with Hot Rod Rodimus is the birth of Double Convoy. You have Optimus Prime. He's going into the center of Cybertron to stop the unstable Vector Sigma. And, Hot Rod shows up just in time to back him up, but when he gets ambushed by Galvatron and the Headmasters. And then he gets the Matrix from Alpha Trion's, soul pretty much, goes into the Matrix. And then he becomes Rodimus Prime again. And then you have this birth of Double Convoy scene. It has the Headmaster's intro in it, so it's this really cool little montage scene that's really nice, and they kick butt and everything, and nice little scene, really dug it. Again, and it was nice to see Optimus Prime and Rodimus Prime fighting side by side together instead of always having to exist in two separate spaces because of their purposes as characters, as someone's got to be leader. So always dug that. Jump forward to Superlink, Transformer Superlink, a.k.a. what was Energon in America. Rodimus Convoy, a.k.a. Rodimus Prime, joining up with Hotshot for the 500th episode, as it was called in Superlink. It was just called Distribution in Energon. I mean, after Armada, I find the dub of the Unicron trilogy just goes to hell in Energon and Cybertron, but that's always been my feelings of that. But, for the 500th episode of Transformers overall in Japan, they made a special episode for Superlink called The Greatest Dream Match. And it had a whole bunch of Transformers fighting a whole bunch of Transformers, regardless of faction, in a giant fighting tournament. And him and Hotshot team up, and there's a lot of cool fighting moments. My favorite being probably a super-linked Rodimus Convoy and Hotshot, one-punching Optimus Prime and knocking him out. Just great stuff. Again, go watch the Japanese versions of both Superlink and Galaxy Force. Don't watch Energon and Cybertron. Do it right. Do it right to yourself. I don't know. Those were just handled so badly in the dubs. But yeah, love that scene. That's a really cool one. There's again a lot of cool moments for Energon, aka Superlink, Rodimus. There's a lot of cool moments there, but that's one I'm going to go with if I have to pick one. Let's go with some IDW. But it's not going to be what you think from the IDW you think. It's going to be IDW, but the Regeneration book by Simon Furman. Yes, that's right. Sorry, James. Simon Furman did a G1 continuation Marvel book with IDW called Regeneration, kind of like a different sequel book as opposed to the G2 book. And it's a fantastic book. I really like it a lot. I love the work that was done on it, the art, and there's just so many great scenes. But that final battle with the Optimuses, yes, you heard me right, multiple Optimuses against the army of Rodimi or Rodimuses, is just awesome. I don't want to spoil too much. Something that happens at the end of the book, one of the big climactic scenes. So go read it, find it out there. It's fantastic. Again, good alternate end to the Marvel G1 continuity, maybe even all of continuities in a lot of ways, the way it was written. A lot of the stuff that's going on with the current IDW book, the Last Bot Standing book and everything like that, parallels a lot of what Simon Furman did with Regeneration. And Rodimus is a big part of it because he's an important part of Transformers. So if there's going to be one good Rodimus story or one good Rodimus book, it's going to be that Simon Furman one. Again, sorry, James. I'm sorry. Let's go into another manga. Let's go into the Japanese manga again. Sakamoto's Legends mangas. Sakamoto, Hayato Sakamoto-san, amazing manga MVP of Transformers. Loves filling in the gaps of G1 lore and everything that's, hasn't been explained and little things here and there with story. And he really wanted to cover, like, hey, what happened when Rodimus Prime left Cybertron, the destroyed Cybertron, after Headmasters and kept the Matrix with him instead of giving it to Fortress Maximus. And he explained this whole story of, he founded Planet Micro, used the Matrix to bring life to it, became a Micromaster himself, and, pretty much a form of a Cybertron in that time being. invited Blur to join him as a Micromaster, but he rejected that idea. A lot of cool little stories there. Obviously, they're done in bite size. They're done in usually either like 3-page panel or 5-page panel or sometimes 4-panel pages. There's a whole bunch of them. And he always does a great job with fleshing out Hot Rod's story, whether it be the Kiss Play stuff or Headmasters or what happened with Star Convoy. But just that small moment of how did he become a Micromaster? How did we go from the end of Headmasters in 87 to the Battle Stars and Return of Star Convoy, and now he's a Micromaster? How did that happen? Where did Planet Micro come from in Transformers Victory? It all was fleshed out here, and it was all because of a little Micromaster named Hot Rod and his matrix of leadership that he kept with him. Of course, he would give it back to him by the time of Star Convoy and the Zodiac energy, but that's a whole other story. Number 9, let's talk about Cyberverse. Cyberverse was a sleeper hit for a lot of fans. If you have not watched it, it's a very good series. Transformers Cyberverse, Season 3 specifically, there was a small little contingency of episodes at the beginning, which kind of had a leader Hot Rod character, and Hot Rod was pretty much a really good badass in that. He has this amazing battle between him and the Decepticon traitor, a.k.a. Deadlock Drift, and beats him up, almost gets himself killed, but ends up defeating Drift. And then we have like all those Quintesson episodes, which are very, very Beast Machines Cheetor hiding from, the Viacons kind of feel in that like the episode Dead End specifically in Season 3, where he's like technically like the leader of this ragtag Autobots with Decepticons involved too, like Clobber and Dead End. And I love it. I love that version of Hot Rod. I wish that they took the deluxe, because they did a deluxe class Hot Rod toy in Cyberverse. They never did a black repaint. I would have loved that they did that leader black stealth repaint that they did. But I love the way he was depicted in it. Travis Arts, who voiced him, great job, fantastic, love it. Really, I kind of wish there was more. Cyberverse's biggest weakness was it was a 10-minute episode series, which if they were like 30-minute episodes, they could have done so much more. Such a shame. It passed so quickly because they were short episodes. And number 10. This one, it was like, nothing I could list for Transformers Animated Rodimus, because he had very short scenes. Not much really I could bring up. Like a little bit of a manga stuff with Naoto-san, but nothing that's like, oh, wow. Same thing. And again, Judd Nelson came back, and it was just kind of like shows up, Cosmic Rust. The Machinima stuff, same thing. Judd Nelson comes back. Not really that great, to be honest. When you fall into like obscure book stuff, like kids' books and everything, not really anything that I could bring up. Michael Bay Hot Rod, cool car, fun design. But I hate the scenes that he's really in general. Nothing really wow. It's all kind of eh. I mean, still to this day, that Hot Rod scene is still super cringy to me as a open-minded Frenchman who has a sense of humor, but that joke just went on way too long. Hot Rod, Hot Rod, Hot Rod. It's like, oh God, please stop. So I'm just gonna turn it all the way back. See, we're at number 10. Might as well just talk about 86 movie again, and the opening of the Matrix of Leadership, and just that whole scene. A lot of people that I've watched the movie with who have never seen it before don't expect it. We're so used to it. Of course, Hot Rod opens the Matrix, becomes Rodimus Prime, but so many people that I've watched it with that have never seen it don't expect that to happen. And I love seeing that impact, because I didn't expect it to happen as a kid when I saw it. I didn't think that this character, although he was really the Luke Skywalker of the movie, and it was kind of leading to that, but when I was like 3-4 years old, it's a different story. But just the opening of the Matrix of Leadership, the touch, the dramatic use of Judd Nelson's voice when he's opening the Matrix, the Autobots transform and roll out, his final speech, at the end of the movie, let this mark the end of the Cybertronian Wars. Just a good chunk of like 4 minutes of awesome, of great animation, just everything going on there, and just love that scene. Again, I could just do the 86 movie in a lot of ways of great Hot Rod scenes, and Judd Nelson doing an amazing job when he was really young, coming off of The Breakfast Club and everything. But man, oh man, like I don't want to fill that whole list with that. So I gave you a little variety. I could have put more, but I figured I'd pick one of everything pretty much, more or less. Obviously leaving out some things, but hope that kind of answers that a little bit, Anastasia, aka Fair Lady Z. Fair Lady Z. And if you want to be like Fair Lady Z and ask a Patreon listener question, or you just want to be part of the podcast and help support the podcast and let us know we're doing a half-decent job, check it out, patreon.com/Protoman, or check the pinned comment or description below. And thank you, Fair Lady Z, for the long-time support. And rock out with the robots in the skies, and I'll see you guys later this week.